Sorry, I have something in my teeth. Yeah, I still have something in my teeth. Sorry about that. Hi, everyone. Oh my goodness. Penny. Oh, well. My one girl's up and one girl's still in bed. Doggy's beside me as usual. Good morning. Happy Thursday. My goodness. I think this is day 36 of this Bible study. And I'm so glad to be with you this morning. And I'm hoping to see a longtime friend. If you're on here, Marianne, give me a shout and a comment. I just received a text from a gal that's in New York that I haven't seen since. Have we ever seen each other, or did we just become pen pals? You'll have to remind me. One of my only pen pals in my life, when that was a thing, you had a pen pal. All right, well, let's look at Genesis 17. We are just remembering that yesterday. Yes, hi, good morning, Marianne. Nice to see you. This is Marianne Becker for anyone who comes on here and who lives on the East Coast as she does. It's remarkable that we're still connected after all these years. My goodness. Pen pals. Never ever physically met. I would love to call you though, Marianne, and face to face talk after literally probably 50 years about. Wow. All right. So yesterday we were talking about Hagar, and Hagar was the servant that was kind of grafted into the family of Abram and Sarai, and she bore a son named Ishmael, which Ishmael unfortunately became someone that was his name, or the description of him was that he would just like be hostile toward everyone, and everyone would be hostile toward him, and he would live at odds with his kinsmen, which isn't a very good legacy. Poor guy. I mean, it was just I don't want to pretend to know if that was because of the way that he was born, or what all God had planned in it. But he did have redemption planned in it, as we saw him meet Hagar at the well yesterday, and what a gorgeous, beautiful picture that was of someone, God wanted to fully redeem, because she had to run away from Sarai, who was acting like a crazy woman, who was despising her for, having a child. Didn't know she could have so much jealousy in her, but she did. And but God heard the cries of Hagar, and I just think it's one of the most tender pictures so far in this book of Genesis that we're studying, that God would meet her at the well. And I think this is so beautiful that Hagar said, "Oh my, did I just see God and live to talk about it?" She was so taken aback, as you should be, and in chapter 17, when you see here that God's going to speak to Abram again and change his name, he just gets on his face. So, that we would have these encounters with the Lord. This is my prayer and the cry of my heart, that he would make himself so real and clear and plain and true to us as well. All right, here we go. When Abram was 99, just short of 100, Yahweh appeared to him again and said, "I am the God who is more than enough." And this is really where I want to focus today. I really want for us to get that we serve and know and have living inside of us the God that is more than enough. Live your life in my presence and be blameless. I'm the God that is more than enough, so live your life in my presence and be blameless. I will confirm my covenant between me and you, and I will greatly multiply your descendants. Do any of you remember the singer Amy Grant? I just saw her actually doing a little COVID piece of how she keeps at peace during this time. She is a famous Christian singer, and she had this amazing Christian song called El Shaddai. And maybe you'll remember that song, but that is the word here. El Shaddai means the God who is more than enough. Isn't that beautiful? It's found 218 times in the Bible and is the most frequently used name for God prior to the law being given at Sinai. El is one of the words for God, and Shaddai is taken from a Hebrew root word that carries multiple expressive meanings. It can mean God of the holy mountain, God of the wilderness, he's everywhere. God, the destroyer of enemies, come on. God, the all sufficient one, yes, he is. God, the nurturer of babies, the breasted one. God, the almighty, the sovereign God, or the God who is more than enough. So today I just want to cry out with you that he is our El Shaddai. He is the God of that is more than enough. And he is going to meet our needs. I was reminded again and this morning, there's so much communication going on. That's one good thing that's come out of this trial that we're in, this big test, this big reset that we're in. A big timeout is actually what it is from the Lord. Is there so much communication? Everyone's, what do you think is happening? I don't know. What do you think is happening? I don't know what you think is happening. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not trying to make fun of that. But I just was reminded this morning as someone was sending me some information and texting me that just about food shortages and the possibility of the ongoing trial ahead of us. And I just sat in this word right here in Genesis and said, God, you are the God of more than enough. You are the God that is more than enough. And it just means that we can just sit and be calmed and reassured that he is everything, that we find our place of complete comfort, complete rest in that knowledge. And I just want to take that into the cellular level today with you, that he is the God that is more than enough. And that means also that he has more than enough, that he has resources that we know not of. He has plans. He has rescues. He has ideas. He has resources. He is the resource. And so I just think, whatever is ahead of us, whatever we are facing, however dire this becomes in our land and in other foreign lands that are already facing famine and pestilence, God, El Shaddai, is the God who is more than enough. And I lean into that word today with you in humility. We don't know the road that is ahead of us. It is really a good time in this season to find out what he wants to be for us. Let's take this as a covering and a shield, just as a sheath, as a protection around us today, around our minds, around all the communications. Every time you get a text today, I want to challenge you. Every time you get, something in your messenger that's another person's findings about COVID, I want you to speak out of your mouth. I'm going to try to do it too. El Shaddai, you are the God that is more than enough. We will declare it. We will declare it. We will believe it. That means that you are all powerful, all sufficient God, making your way through this 2020 season that we are in. And we're right at your heels as best we can be. We're right at your heels and we're whispering, God, you're more than enough. You're more than enough. I'm right here. I'm right here. What do I do? You're more than enough. I pull myself in. If I have to hold on to his garment as he makes his way charging through, literally putting into place what he decides, I will hold on to his garment as we make our way through, and I will hide myself in the El Shaddai, the one who is for us and not against us. Okay, so here we are in chapter 17, and he's saying, live your life in my presence. Enjoy my presence, enjoy who I am, and live in me. Stay in me. Don't go running over there or over there or over there. Stay in me and be blameless. I think that's just a fruit of if you're that close and living in his presence, I think you'll know if you're having a thought or doing something that would be displeasing to him, because he's right there all the time and you're breathing El Shaddai, El Shaddai. All right, so the combination of El Shaddai describes the tender heart of God, the one who cares for his beloved ones. To a man that's 99 years old, God all-sufficient is a revelation that will sustain Abraham. How old am I? How old are you? And how, yes, do we need to be sustained? Some of us are not in our youth anymore. And we need the sustaining, tender care of the Lord. He is our El Shaddai. I will confirm my covenant between me and you, and I will greatly multiply your descendants. That's verse 2. Now here's verse 3. Then Abram fell on his face in awe before God. And God said to him, I establish my covenant with you. On our faces we go, and he establishes his covenant with us. Where will you be today? You will become, this is what he says to Abram. What will he say to you? You will become a father of many nations. You will no longer be named Abram, because I am changing your name. It is now Abraham. So beautiful. Praise you, Jesus. Thank you, Lord. When a man bows in the dust, it says here in the notes, God will speak in grace. Abram's posture is a picture of his humility as he ponders the revelation of the presence of God. And the word Abram means exalted father, exalted father. But Abraham means father of a multitude, father of a multitude. The church today does not need exalted fathers, but what the church needs today is those who will multiply themselves in their sons and daughters. Multiply yourself in others. Gather other people into your age and wisdom and walking with God, and pass something along to them. Show them who God is. Father them. Okay, so then it says, I have made you a father of many nations, Abraham. I will make you abundantly fruitful, more than you can expect. I will make nations out of you, and kings will trace their lineage back to you. We are kings and queens ourselves. We are royalty, and we can trace our lineage back to Abraham. This is the truth, but he means physical kings and queens in the earth as well would come out of his lineage. Yes, I will establish my eternal covenant of love between me and you. Eternal covenant of love that we have to enjoy with him. It will extend to your descendants throughout their generations. I will be your children's God as I am your God. Lord, come on. We always welcome any promise for our children that you will be their God as you have been our God. Lord, come on. Be the revelatory, personal God that you are to me, for my children, and for your children, that they establish a faith in him that is unmovable, unshakable, and their very own, where he has met with them and they have pulled aside to hear from him. I will give to you and to your seed the land to which you have migrated. The entire land of Canaan will be yours and your descendants as an everlasting possession, and I will be their God forever. Yay! Yay, we want that. We want that. We want that, Lord. Yes, yes, yes. We take a hold of that. God of our children forever. Yes, Lord. Okay, that was verse 8. And he says in verse 6 that David and Hezekiah and Solomon are examples of the kings that came after Abraham. And in Revelation 1:6 and Revelation 5:10, it says, indeed, you and I are kings and priests. Okay, so this is verses 1 through 7 today of chapter 17 in Genesis. And that's all I wanted to chew on with you today, because I think sometimes we can only take one or two things away, but we need to make them really real for our day. Like, we need to get this whole thing about God being El Shaddai. We really do. This is something that is a word for today, but it's a word that's going to take us into our future and into these times that we're in right now. He is the all-sufficient, more than enough God. I remember reading a book by Heidi Baker, the missionary in Mozambique, who maybe some of you have heard of her. And I remember the title is something about God being more than enough, but I don't remember the exact title. But she talks about how many hundreds of children she and her husband were trying to feed. Oh, Lord, you're so good. And their pots would never run out. Never. I mean, I'm not telling the story completely accurate, and I should have dug up the book and reread it before, because I knew the Lord brought this story to my mind earlier when I was studying. But I just remember her saying that they just never ran out. They just kept dipping and dipping, and there was enough chicken for everybody. And they only went in with a certain number of chickens, you know? It was multiplication. It was the impossible. But that's who we have in our court, the God of the impossible. And he is strong and mighty. And we need to get into the hem of his garment right behind him, pushing through this time. Because wherever he's going in the midst of this pandemic, we need to get right at his heels. And so I'm kind of just exhorting you today to get into a posture that is like that, however, whatever that means to you, and to begin to whisper through the day, the God that is more than enough. You are the God that is more than enough. And amidst the chaos and the insecurities